The 2026 WNBA broadcast schedule was released on April 22nd without ceremony. No press event, no formal announcement beyond the standard league release. What it contained, however, was more consequential than anything the league had publicly said about itself in years. The Indiana Fever will play 44 games in the 2026 regular season. Every one of them will air on national television. Not a selection of marquee matchups, not the rivalry games or the high-profile road trips, all 44. That has never happened before in the 30-year history of this league. No team, no roster, no player had previously generated the kind of broadcast demand required to place every single regular season game on a major network or streaming platform. 9 media companies are carrying Fever games this season. Disney committed 4 games on ABC and 6 on ESPN. Amazon Prime Video added 7. NBC returned to WNBA coverage for the first time since 2002, distributing games across NBC, Peacock, and NBCSN. ION Network locked in 9 games. CBS and Paramount Plus both signed on as well. These are not organizations that operate on sentiment. Each of them runs audience projections, advertising rate models, and risk assessments before committing to a broadcast schedule. Each of them independently arrived at the same conclusion about where the return on investment would be highest. The financial logic behind that conclusion is documented. In 2024, Caitlin Clark was present for 20 of the 23 WNBA games that crossed 1 million viewers on national television. In 2025, when Clark was sidelined by injury, national television viewership for the league dropped 55% during a 2-week window. That figure came from Nielsen ratings and was reported across multiple outlets. It is the clearest single data point the industry had to work with when constructing the 2026 schedule, and the schedule reflects it directly. Clark played only 13 games in 2025 after sustaining a right groin injury in July, compounded by quad problems and a left ankle bone bruise that ended her season entirely. In those 13 appearances, she averaged 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.8 assists, and was selected to her second consecutive All-Star game. She returned to competition in March 2026, playing for Team USA in the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament in Puerto Rico, where she was named Tournament MVP. At Indiana's training camp ahead of the 2026 season, Clark told reporters she was 100% healthy. The Fever opened the regular season May 9th against the Dallas Wings on ABC. The franchise Clark is returning to is structurally different from the one that existed before her. Prior to 2024, the Fever had been missing the playoffs regularly and drawing modest crowds to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, a 17,000-seat NBA arena in Indianapolis. Network executives were not competing for broadcast rights to their games. That changed in Clark's rookie year. The team returned to the playoffs. Aaliyah Boston and Kelson Mitchell both posted career-best numbers. Attendance records were set. In the 2025 offseason, Boston signed a 4-year, $6.3 million contract extension, the largest deal in WNBA history under the new collective bargaining agreement, and did so without requesting a trade. The venue itself is part of the financial equation. Gainbridge Fieldhouse produces broadcasts that read as premium on a television screen. Full sellouts generate crowd noise that registers clearly on broadcast microphones. Wide camera angles show a filled arena. Advertising inventory around those games commands rates that reflect the atmosphere. That is a factor networks price explicitly when constructing their schedules. The Atlanta Dream, by contrast, play their home games at Gateway Center Arena in College Park, Georgia. The facility holds approximately 3,500 people. The organization has scheduled 5 home games at State Farm Arena, Atlanta's NBA venue, for the 2026 season. The remaining home games will be played at the smaller facility. Camera operators working those broadcasts work with tighter angles to avoid wide shots that reveal empty sections. The audio environment is thinner. Advertising rates around those games reflect the difference. The full national television rankings for 2026 place Indiana at 44. The Dallas Wings follow at 36. The New York Liberty have 35. The Los Angeles Sparks have 31. The Atlanta Dream, now featuring Angel Reese following a trade from the Chicago Sky in early April, have 28. That places Atlanta 7th among the league's 12 teams. The Dallas Wings figure is built around Paige Buchers, the 2025 first overall pick, and Azzi Fudd, the 2026 first overall pick. At the time the schedule was finalized, the two had not played a professional game together. Networks assigned 36 nationally televised dates to a pairing with no shared professional history based on projected audience interest.
Atlanta's 28 places the Dream behind the Chicago Sky, the franchise that traded Reese in April, and behind the Los Angeles Sparks, a team that has not been a playoff contender in several years. The gap between Indiana's total and Atlanta's is 16 games, which represents roughly 1/3 of the WNBA's 44-game regular season. Reese spent 2 seasons with Chicago before the trade. In her first year, the Sky went 13-27. In her second, they went 10-34. She led the league in rebounding in 2025 with 12.6 boards per game and averaged 14.7 points. She earned back-to-back All-Star selections. The team's record declined each year she was on the roster. A portion of Reese's rebounding totals in both seasons came off her own missed shot attempts, a sequence that counts as an offensive rebound in standard box score tracking. The statistic is recorded accurately. The context is that those rebounds reflect missed possessions converted into second chances rather than contested defensive boards converted into transition opportunities. The distinction matters when measuring overall efficiency. Late in the 2025 season, Reese gave an interview to the Chicago Tribune in which she criticized the franchise's direction. She stated she was not settling for the same SH next year and raised questions about whether the team could rely on veteran point guard Courtney Vandersloot, given her age and recovery from a torn ACL. The Sky suspended Reese for conduct detrimental to the team. She did not play in the final 3 games of the season. Vandersloot later addressed the comments, describing them as not necessary. The trade was completed on April 6, 2026. Chicago received first-round picks in 2027 and 2028. Following the trade, several free agents signed with Chicago, including Skylar Diggins-Smith and Azura Stevens, in a reversal of the prior perception that the franchise was not an attractive destination. The Sky's roster had seen significant player departures in prior years, including Elena Deladon, Candace Parker, and Kalia Copper, each of whom left for other organizations. Reese was introduced to Atlanta media on April 17th at a press conference that included her new teammates. During the event, Ryan Howard was asked about her experience playing against Reese over the previous 2 seasons. Howard said that any time Reese was on the opposing side, she expected to score around 30 points. Naz Hillman described Reese as annoying as hell when asked about competing against her. Alicia Gray said Chicago was where she had some of her best offensive performances. All 3 statements were made in a context that was intended to generate positive coverage of the new roster. Reese responded to the remarks with humor and later became emotional when discussing the difference between her situation in Atlanta and her experience in Chicago. Being able to come to an organization that really cared about their players, she said, it low-key makes me emotional because I haven't had this. The Dream are coached by Carl Smesko, whose system produced the most efficient offense in franchise history in its first season. Atlanta made the playoffs in 2025 before losing to Indiana in the first round. The addition of Reese alongside Howard and Gray gives the organization a roster it describes as legitimately competitive for a deep playoff run. The 2026 season begins May 8th. Indiana opens May 9th. Atlanta opens May 10th. The broadcast gap between the two franchises is 16 games. Whether that gap reflects the full picture of what either roster is capable of producing will become clearer as the season progresses. What the schedule represents right now is the collective financial judgment of the American media industry, expressed through committed airtime and advertising dollars about where audience interest is expected to be highest. Those judgments are based on historical data and projected returns. They are not permanent. They are updated every year in response to what the previous season actually produced. The 2026 season will produce its own data. The schedule was set in April. The games begin in May.